Welcome back to Families in Action right here on KHTS AM 1220, your hometown station. I'm Michael Dougherty, the Silver Fox, along with Cary Quashen, and we are talking today about the teen brain on marijuana, and we're talking about this right now because we are getting ready to go to the ballot box. We're going to go behind that secret curtain and vote, and one of the things we're going to be looking at is Proposition 64, which deals with the legalization of marijuana here in California.
Right.
And, you know, Cary, as we're talking here about the legalization of marijuana and how that could affect our teens, people that are teenagers, all the way up really to age 25, which of course is legal age. But we know that the brain is not completely formed until that age. And we know that smoking marijuana has been proven by science to, let's say, retard that a bit.
Right.
And up to and including, and I'm going to get to that in a second, but we want to talk about the mental health aspects of this that are also affected. But, you know, one of the things that science has proven is that it reduces the IQ. They've literally found that it reduces the IQ. People that smoke marijuana on a regular basis, this would be teens, people up into their 20s.
Which is, it fits right into what we've been saying, Michael, that it messes with our short-term memory. It messes with our motivation. It does all kinds of stuff that, of course, is going to affect our IQ.
And
our children's
exactly.
IQ, I'm sorry.
And there are still things that science is trying to figure out about marijuana. So some things we don't know, they just suspect. But, you know, the American Medical Association, the AMA, came out strongly against the legalization of marijuana sales and in favor of a public health approach. So they're trying to warn people, hey, you know, don't get the cart before the horse here. It's not like we have to do this right now.
Right. Well, it's not like we have to do it. I think we're going to do it. So what we're trying to do is educate people on some of the risk factors and pay attention to what's going on with children, because people's attitudes are so laxed when it comes to marijuana today that it's extremely frightening, because you got young children that are smoking or eating this stuff. Their IQ's being affected, their school's being affected, their emotional being is being affected, their mental health is being affected. I mean, we can go on for a long time talking about this.
Now, here's some more information. Marijuana contributes to psychosis and schizophrenia. We can talk about that.
And if anybody wants to argue, well, I run the psych unit at Henry Mayo. You work there with me.
That's right.
So we see this
every day.
We see people coming into the ER, into the behavioral health units, that have had some kind of psychotic break, and the only thing we can find in their body is THC. So it's going to be a hard one to debate.
Yeah, and in terms
for anyone else, anyways.
In terms of addiction, they're saying that for 1 in 6 children who ever try marijuana, it leads to addiction.
Why do you think that is?
Well, because they like where it puts them.
Right. It's those contracts we go back to. When we're young, we all say, here's things I'll never do. I'm not going to smoke cigarettes. And we mean it, because cigarettes kill. It says it on the box, right? And there's only 2 reasons a child would smoke a cigarette. 1 is to learn behavior from home, and 2, to fit in with everyone else. So they light up a cigarette. I won't ever smoke weed, but it's only pot. It's not really a drug. It's natural. It's legal now. So what's going to happen? People are going to start smoking pot. It's only pot. I'll never use other drugs. And once we start breaking our contracts, smoking cigarettes, smoking pot, drinking booze, all the other drugs are just drugs of opportunity. They're already breaking them. The kids are going to parties. There's marijuana all over the place. Going to even be more now. There'll be alcohol and all that kinds of stuff. And it's just a matter of time when somebody says, try this. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those kind of things. We do heroin kills and pills kill and all that. And fortunately, now we're talking about marijuana here in Santa Clarita, the city, and all that stuff. But I believe if we're going to teach kids not to use drugs, it's not to use drugs. It's not to use heroin or crystal meth. It's not to use drugs at all. And that's where we're going to beat the war on drugs. That's where we're going to start saving lives, when we can hardwire that into our children at a young age, that all drugs are bad. All drugs cause serious health issues. I think we'll win. Better shot.
I have a question for our listener out there that's a parent. And you can answer that. You're a parent,
Cary.
I am a parent. If you knew that there was a food that would cause any of your children up to the age of 18 it would reduce their IQ if you fed it to them. Would you put that on their dinner plate?
Of course not.
Well, marijuana does. Been proven.
And parents don't seem to care about it.
Can reduce the IQ of teens who use it all the way up to the age of 18.
You know, the problem is parents gave up. It's so out there now, and so many kids are doing it that the parents are just saying, well, it's only pot and everybody's doing it. And that's the kind of the attitude that's going to harm your child later in life. That's why we're having an epidemic right now with hard drugs. That's why every hour 5 people are losing their lives. That's why adult residential rehabs population are exploding. That's why they're trying to open rehabs all over the country. Because of that attitude, because it's only pot attitude. It starts somewhere, guys, and that's where it starts.
And you've said this over and over and over again, but it bears repeating. Today's marijuana is not your Woodstock weed of the 60s and 70s. We've had the ER physicians here on this show talking about how people come in and they're psychotic, and the only thing in their bloodstream is marijuana. We've had them say, we've had people come in who cannot stop vomiting, and it's marijuana induced. So that's not good stuff.
Yeah, and we're not just coming up. We're not just guessing. These are facts.
These are facts
from the American Medical Board. These are facts from the Behavioral Health Unit that we run, a psychiatric unit. I mean, these are facts from the kids that I work with. These aren't made up stuff. We're not just coming up with this.
Well, we talk about, Cary, you and I talk about do-overs, right? This ain't a do-over. I mean, you have one golden opportunity for your child to build their brain to its greatest capacity. Why on earth would you let them smoke pot when we know that might not be a good thing? I mean, suppose we're wrong. But suppose we're right. And it's not us, it's the American Medical Association.
Right,
all those scientists are saying, look out.
All the pros are saying, okay, so, and we're not even debating. There are clearly some health benefits from some of the oils in the THC and some of that stuff. We're not even debating that. We're just saying, as a casual thing to do, it's bad. That's what we're saying. For teenagers and kids to smoke it, it's not good.
Well, here's another one. Krista Lisdahl happens to be the director of brain imaging and neuropsychology lab at the University of Wisconsin in Milwaukee. She says it's a mistake for teenagers to use cannabis. It's the absolute worst time, she says, because the mind-altering drug can disrupt development. Think of the teen years, she says, as the last golden opportunity to make the brain as healthy and smart as possible. Lisdahl points to a growing number of studies that show regular marijuana use once a week or more actually changes the structure of the teenage brain, specifically in the areas dealing with memory and problem solving. Hey,
parents, did you hear that?
Problem solving.
What is that saying? What is that saying again? Parents, I want you to hear this again.
A number of studies show, they're not speculating, show that regular marijuana use, meaning once a week or more, actually changes the structure of the teenage brain, specifically in areas dealing with memory and problem solving. Hey, that's kind of important stuff to be able to do in your brain. Why do I want to have something that's going to possibly cause a problem with that in my system?
I sure don't want my children doing that.
That I put there on purpose.
It's pretty crazy that we actually come to this. Not that they want to legalize marijuana. I don't care what they do with it. But that the lack of concern that people have about children smoking it. That's what I think worries me the most.
It is. And here you are. Now, I've looked at it this way.
And it's almost, sorry, Mike, it's almost like a game. There's candy. There's gummy bears.
They're gonna make a marijuana brownies.
Food.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's almost like how do you say it?
Who was that in the 60s? Alice B. Toklas.
Right.
Bake them up in brownies. Yeah.
It's almost a joke.
It is.
It's like people are laughing about it. It is like it's not real funny.
Yeah.
Not when your kids are in trouble.
No.
You won't laugh too hard then.
No, not at all. And here's the thing that amazes me. Parents do everything they can to raise their children the best they can. Mm-hmm. And when Johnny falls down and skins his knee, mom and dad are right there with a Band-Aid, clear the dirt off, right? If somebody gets sick, they take him to the doctor. You do all this stuff. So why in the world would we let them do this?
Because parents don't want to fight it.
You know what?
They just don't want to deal with it.
What is parenting easy, Cary?
No.
Sometimes we got to do tough stuff.
We do.
And you know what? Fighting this battle's worth it.
Well, you want to keep your kids safe.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. You want to make sure that your kids are healthy. That's for sure. That their brain's developing, that they're getting a good education, that they're making good decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts when they're young, and it's one of those kind of things we have to continually do. It's not easy. Sometimes, things happen, and we have to take charge. We're not our kids' friends. We're their parents.
Now, you say something on a regular basis that I smile when you say it, but I know how very, very serious it is. When you talk about the teen marijuana users that, do you have any homework?
Oh, yeah. It's...
I forgot. Did you do it? I don't know. I forgot it.
Yeah, because when kids start smoking pot, they start losing their short-term memory goes. Then they lose their motivation. So it's like, why didn't you do your homework? I don't know. Did you do your homework? Yes. Why didn't you turn it in? I don't know. Then they stop dropping out of sports and dance and all kinds of stuff. Why? Because they're just bored with it. But it's really they're losing their motivation because of that high potency THC. Because you know how I know that? Because when we bring them into our rehabs or our outpatients and we get them off of it, the grades start going up. They start turning in their homework again. And they want to go back into the sports that they dropped out when they were smoking.
So in other words, they're functioning again.
They start functioning. You could actually see it. So it's really pretty clear. It's right there for you to see. It's really the THC that's in the way.
And here's the sad thing, and you've already brought this up several times on this show today. Kids, teenagers, do a lot of what their parents do. They see their parents driving lousy on the street. They curse and yell when they're driving down the road. They're texting and all that, and kids mimic that, right?
We're their role models.
And when mom and dad are drinking alcoholic beverages, the kids are going to be curious about what that tastes like. Hey, mom and dad do it. It must be okay. Smoking cigarettes. Mom and dad do it. Okay. Yeah.
Here's a good example. How many kids, and you could probably vouch for this one, are at home, their parents are having people over, there's drinks, the parents go to bed, and the kids go and take a little sip.
Well, I can not only vouch for it, I did it when I was 5 years old.
So we have 5-year-old kids and 6-year-old kids that are doing that, and really what even is more disgusting is I've seen so many parents give their kids drinks at 6 and 7 years old. Here, have a sip. And you could see these little children going, whoa, this feels good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just kind of a bad message.
Well,
are we going to do that with marijuana?
Well, it looks like it. It sounds like it.
Are we going to let our 6-year-old have a bite off of our brownie?
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, I said but
are we going to give him a gummy bear that's laced with THC?
I have to tell you that when I took those sips and my parents found out, Mike? It's very scary because my parents were horrified when they found out what I'd done. But you know what? They just got up, went outside, and the beer bottles were there on the coffee table. And I said, this must taste pretty good. They were all drinking it. So there was a little bit left, and I took a blast. And of course, when my parents came back, they said, what's going on? And so, same thing with marijuana. Same thing. And we've talked about what happens with the vaping when people are vaping and they leave that stuff on the coffee table. Look what's happening to the toddlers. They're winding up in the emergency room because guess what? That stuff smells like candy.
I was speaking to a young guy yesterday about vaping, and I was saying, quit that. It can't be good for you. He says, but it tastes so good. It's like, yep, that's the problem. It tastes so good. They're making it all kinds of strawberry, vanilla, ice cream, candy, cotton
gummy
candy,
bears, marshmallows.
So it's really if you think about gummy bears, let's just pick that for a second. THC and gummy bears.
Oh boy,
who are they marketing that to? Kids or adults?
Not somebody my age.
No, would you eat a gummy bear?
Well, I might eat a gummy bear, but I certainly,
You're not gonna buy
that's
it,
not something I'm going to run to in the grocery store.
Right. So if you're really thinking about where are they marketing this to, who are they really marketing this to, putting it in candy?
Right. And with names like Pot Tarts.
Right.
Oh, come now.
Yeah, they're marketing it to your children.
And this is just a start, because once they legalize it and they get the machinery going, they're going to come out with everything they can possibly come out with. And we read this at the beginning of the show. This fellow wants to open marijuana-style, Starbucks-style marijuana places. They want to become millionaires.
Well, if it's legal, no, let me change that. When it's legalized, that's what we're going to be dealing with. So now more than ever, parents, you need to pay attention to what's going on with your kids. You need to talk to them about drugs now more than ever. You need to educate yourself. Get on the internet. Find the real stuff that's going on, not the hokey pokey, it's good for you stuff. Find out what's going on. That 60% of children that are in rehabs are there because of marijuana dependency, that it affects their brain, that there's school issues, depression, suicidal stuff, psychosis. I mean, find out the real stuff that's going on.
That's right. And to the parent that's listening that says, but I like to smoke marijuana, you know what? Go ahead. Do your thing.
We're not even telling you not to.
No. What we are saying is how you're going to keep your teenagers, your kids, from getting mixed up in it. I mean, they see mom doing it. They see dad doing it. How are you going to keep them from getting messed up in this? Because a lot of people would say, no, we don't want kids to smoke it.
But, Michael, just smoke pot. Don't use hard drugs, okay?
Just drink beer. Don't drink the whiskey.
That's what parents are saying.
know.
It's okay if you smoke pot, honey. Just don't use crystal meth. Okay, Mom.
Okay.
And they're still smoking a lot of pot and drinking, and they're going to parties, and all those other drugs are there. How about don't use any drugs?
Yeah. Because when you smoke or when you do marijuana, it sort of opens up the floodgates, doesn't it? And there is everything backing it up. And you say it's drugs of opportunity when somebody's loaded on marijuana and somebody comes up and says, "Hey, you want to try this?" What happens?
Yeah, teach your kids what's right. And hey, if you want to, when you're an adult and you move out and you want to do your thing, do it. But right now, when you're living in my house, let's make good choices and let's get an education and let's be healthy. What's wrong with that message?
I can't find any fault with that message.
No, I can't either. But instead, here's what's going on. Just smoke pot. It's okay, honey.
Yeah.
Just don't use hard drugs.
just do it in my house. Oh, brother.
Yeah, so we really got to pay attention to what's going on. We have to really pay attention to our motives and our messages.
You know the best way to get high, Cary? Wake up in the morning and be happy. Look out the window at the sun shining. It's a nice day out there.
Yeah, it's good to be alive.
Good to be alive.
Yeah,
Why in the world do you need to put anything in your body that alters things?
I was talking to my rehab people the other day. And I was doing a pretty serious group with them, and I grabbed one of their packs of cigarettes, and here's what I read on the side of the packs. The Surgeon General has determined that smoking causes lung cancer, emphysema, and might complicate other health issues. Why would anybody that love themselves put that in their body that tells them on the pack it's going to kill them? Mm-hmm. Same with drugs.
Yeah.
Why would anyone that cared about themselves put something in their body that's going to shorten their life?
I got to tell you a short story.
Why would anyone?
I can't figure it out, but we lived across from a park that had a sort of a track that you could walk around. And so I used to, as part of my exercise, I would do this. I was walking around, and somebody joined me one time, and I'm not going to go into who it was, but they were behind me. And after I'd been about my third lap, and they were right behind me, I turned around and they were smoking. And I turned around and I said, "Are you out of your mind? We're doing this for our health. What are you doing?"
Yep. That's the way it is. And, it's sad. we're going to have to go on break in a minute, but I will say my mother, I love her dearly, loved her dearly, still do.
Yeah.
But when she was told she had stage 4 cancer and we knew she was going to die, and we took her to the chemo doctor, I'll never forget, she looked at him and she said, "Doc, how did this happen?" And he looked dumbfounded. He said, "Esther," that was her name. He looked her right in the eye, then he looked at me. He says, "It says it on the box." Can you imagine that?
I can, because my mother died 1 year before your mother did, and she had my mom had COPD, not cancer, but she actually asked the doctor, how did this happen? And the doctor said a little different thing with her. He said, this has been going on since the day you started smoking cigarettes way back when. And it little by little by little by little until she finally reached the point where her lungs could no longer function.
And you vapors out there, it's nicotine.
Mm-hmm.
There's not even been enough studies yet. So here's kind of one of those kind of things that I say to people when I'm working with them and they're young. Remember this, because when you hit that doctor at whatever age and they look you in the eye and say, I've got bad news, remember what we said today.
That's right. And with COPD, you can't reverse it.
Or cancer or any of that.
You can't reverse cancer too much either.
No, my
With
mother,
lung
if I want to
cancer's
see
bad
her,
news.
I got to go to the cemetery. Oh, by the way, my father died at 47 from the same thing. So we know, it says it on the box, guys, make good choices.
And for a listener out there that's saying, well, gee, this isn't a very good news show, it actually is. We're just trying to prove to you that there's a better way.
Make good choices. You have one body. Why in the world would you want to put poison in it? I think it's time for us to take a break. What do you think?
I think it's a time to take a break. And I'll take it away, Cary. Here we go. We'll be right back with more Families in Action right here on KHTS AM 1220, your hometown station.
Welcome back to Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm Cary Quashen, along with my co-host Michael Dougherty, the Silver Fox. My daughter just sent me a little note saying she's listening and that she loved me. I love you too, Courtney Quashen. You're the best daughter a guy could ever have. And Michael, I'm a little disappointed in you.
Oh, what's that?
I can't believe you got the amount of time you've been married wrong.
Oh, I have to make a correction, Cary.
You got in trouble, Michael.
Monday, I said on the show that my wife and I had been married for 43 years.
Not true.
And when I saw my wife right after the show, she said, Mike, we've been married 46 years.
Were you sleeping for 3 years, Mike?
I don't know what
Do
happened.
we need to drug
I
test
knew
you?
that I was 46 years. I just
telling
misspoke. My wife was nice about it. I only had to sleep out in the shed one night.
That's right. So you got lucky. Okay.
Hey, real quick.
Yes.
Real quick before we go. We need to talk about making the ignition interlock devices mandatory in all cars.
Because why?
Because it saves lives.
It can save. Imagine if you couldn't drive drunk, there'd be no drunk driving.
And it takes like all of 30 seconds to go
No.
into the device.
All of 3 seconds.
The device. You're right. Well,
Hey,
it takes
no.
30 seconds for some people to figure out where it is.
Once they figure it out, it's about 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Then they're done.
But, here's the deal. Ignition interlock devices are now becoming mandatory for people in California that had a conviction for drunk driving because they proved that it works. They did a pilot program, worked great. Here's the thing. You puff into this thing, and if you're not over the legal limit, then you can start your car. If you're over the legal limit, you can't start your car. So if you want to have a drink, have a drink. But if you want to have 6 drinks, not such a good idea.
So what that means is you can't get arrested for drunk driving.
And you won't kill people on the road.
Oh my gosh. And you won't kill anybody.
And there's a lot of people killed by drunk drivers, and so this would almost eliminate it, wouldn't it?
It would almost eliminate. The only thing it wouldn't be able to eliminate is driving under the influence of drugs. But the amount of people that die just from drunk driving or arrests,
That's right.
or lives that are ruined, it would stop all that.
Yeah. It is.
Why isn't it being done?
It's
It
a
makes
simple
no
little
sense.
device, and
Justin, what do you say? But you're with us, our board op, Justin.
Yes. What's up?
But the ignition switch thing, breathalyzer.
Ignition
No, I know.
interlock device.
You're asking me a question. Though.
Yeah, I'm
What
just
was the
saying.
question?
Shit, why isn't it being done?
Because
It could save. Nobody will
don't
get arrested.
editorialize here,
It's
Justin.
crazy. Why isn't it done already? Isn't that crazy?
people can't get out of their own way. They're selfish. They they think that one more thing to add to their day is something that is so irritating that
Why hasn't the system said
Right.
enough drunk driving arrests, enough drunk driving deaths?
Do you suppose somebody that had a family member killed by a drunk driver, do you suppose they'd be for this?
Maybe they didn't.
I
think,
hope so.
Maybe they just didn't think about it.
Yeah, wow.
Maybe we just need to scream louder and louder until they hear it.
It's a simple
This
little
should have been
device.
heard a long time ago.
Yeah.
Simple little device. They could so easily put this in all cars. And by the way, it's a very inexpensive. It would not raise, in other words, you wouldn't have to spend another couple $1,000 to buy your car. It wouldn't be like that at all. In fact, the cost of it would be brought back in about 3 years, they've
So
determined.
probably if you were financing a car, probably be about a nickel a month.
How do you think a person feels if they were a drunk driver and they slammed into a car and they killed someone, a baby, a child, an adult? How do you think they'd feel for the rest of their lives? Pretty bad.
I think we could stop that. All we have to do is put in one of those ignition switches, breathalyzers in every car. You get in your car. If you drank too much, your car don't start.
I'm telling you,
Pretty simple.
It's called an ignition interlock device, and this thing would be phenomenal.
Look it up. It's time for us to go. Till next week. This is Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Enjoy.